My father forced me into an arranged marriage. I told him I was gay, hoping to escape. He ignored me, and my so-called crippled husband turned out insanely handsome. When I was pressured into marriage, I snapped and blurted out that I was gay. So what if you're gay? You still have to get married. And just like that, I was forced into an arranged marriage with a man everyone said was ugly, old, and crippled. 2 or 3 months ago, my father suddenly went mad about my marriage. Within a single month, he had arranged more blind dates with half the women in the northern half of the city than I could count. I met every single one of them, until I couldn't take it anymore. After a heated fight with him, I stormed out, finally managing to breathe a little until his calls started chasing me down again. Are you going to get married or not? I was sitting in a bar, bass booming through the speakers, but his voice still thundered through the phone. No. I won't marry. I've lost so much sleep over this. If you won't marry, then I'll work myself to death on the night shift instead. I could picture him, face flushed purple with rage, spittle flying everywhere. I snorted. He roared back, "If I have a heart attack, you'll regret it." I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to hold back my anger. Glancing across the bar, I noticed 2 men kissing passionately in the corner. Suddenly, an idea sparked in my mind. I lowered my voice and said, "Listen, I'm gay. I can't get married, just as I hoped." Silence fell on the other end. I smiled in satisfaction, ready to hang up, when his voice returned, trembling but resolute. "So what if you're gay? You still have to get married." "Dad, I just told you I'm gay. You think I'm joking? I don't care if you're straight, bent, top, or bottom. This wedding is happening." I was left speechless. When did my father become this progressive? And what was that about top and bottom? I didn't even understand the terms myself. He muttered on, "Gay is fine. Less trouble picking. I heard Adrian Cross is gay too. You'll marry him." I almost choked. "Who? Adrian Cross? Are you insane?" Adrian Cross, the man who ruled over North City like a king. Wherever he went, people bowed their heads. He was infamous for taking anything and anyone, men or women, with no restraint. The rumors about him were terrifying. Only in recent years had he supposedly retired from his wild lifestyle. But none of that mattered. What mattered was my father wanted me to marry that old Wolf. From the background came the sound of glass shattering, followed by my father's nervous cough. Not an old Wolf. I saw him once, from afar. Couldn't see his face clearly, but he still had plenty of hair. And what about his crippled leg? So what if his leg's crippled? That just means he won't run around on you. Good, it's decided then. I sneered. Decided? You think you can arrange something like Adrian Cross? Don't worry. Leave it to me. With the little wealth I've scraped together, getting you in front of Adrian Cross is already a blessing for 3 lifetimes. And you still complain. I brushed it off. No way was this happening. A few days later, it was my father's birthday. Coral's a sigh. I was still his only son, so I had to show up. I brought a gift, attended the so-called birthday banquet that was really just a circus of sycophants, and sat in a corner fiddling with my phone in boredom. Until my father suddenly appeared, dragging a man with him. The man had thick dark hair, striking features, and stood tall with every limb intact, exuding a natural air of nobility. My father called out, "Nathan Reed, come here." I frowned. "What trick are you pulling this time?" I muttered, glaring at my father. Before I could say more, the man beside him spoke, his deep, mellow voice like aged wine. "Hello, I'm Adrian Cross." We were soon ushered into a private room. 3 people, 3 corners, forming a strange triangle of tension. Adrian spoke first, calm and decisive. "The wedding preparations are complete. An invitation will be sent to you in advance, Mr. Reed. Just make sure Nathan arrives on time." My father grinned from ear to ear. "Excellent, excellent. Then I'll trouble you, Mr. Cross. Nathan has a terrible temper. Please take care of him. Just call me Adrian, father-in-law." That single phrase father-in-law rang in my ears like a slap. I let out a sharp laugh. "Father-in-law, don't make me laugh. I never agreed to any of this." My father shot back immediately. "As long as I agree, that's enough." The veins on my forehead pulsed violently. "So I'm the one getting married, but you don't even bother asking me if I consent?" The room thickened with tension. Just as I was about to explode, Adrian curved his lips into a feigned smile. "Father-in-law, may I speak to Nathan in private?" My father, delighted, hurried out, and then there were only 2 of us. I turned my back on him with no intention of playing along. "So, Nathan Reed, is that what you're calling me? Or should I call you husband?" I froze for a second, then burst out furiously. "Are you insane?" Adrian only shrugged. "Relax, it was a joke. Let's talk. I have nothing to say. I refuse this marriage." I stood, heading for the door. My hand had just touched the handle when his voice behind me stopped me cold. "The nightclub in London, £30,000, wasn't it?" My blood ran cold. He was talking about that disaster from my time studying abroad. Back then, I'd been young, reckless, dragged into chaos. Street racing at midnight, blowing money like trash. bars, booze, and one night when, drunk and provoked, I loudly declared I'd cover the entire club's tab. In the end, I maxed out every single car I had and nearly starved for months after. I had never dared to tell my father. He still praised me back then, thinking I had grown disciplined overseas. I turned slowly, eyes narrowing. How do you know about that? Adrian sat upright, eyes locked on mine. Isn't it normal to investigate the person you're going to marry? There was steel in his gaze, his intent unmistakable. I want to marry you, Nathan, and that secret? It stays with me. Why me? Out of all the alliances your family could choose, why me? Because, he said simply, I only want you. My jaw clenched. If you really intend to keep that secret, fine, then marry, but it won't be grand. My family will only invite a few close friends. Adrian nodded. As you wish. The wedding was set in less than a week. To rushed, to suffocating. On the day, my father looked at me in my ceremonial suit, eyes misty with sentiment. I ignored him, my face dark as thunder. The ceremony itself was exactly as Adrian promised, quiet, understated, almost indistinguishable from a private dinner party. A vow, an exchange of rings, then food, drinks, laughter. Some headed for the banquet, others toward the bridal chamber. I collapsed on the bed, exhausted, eyes drifting to Adrian as he changed. Broad shoulders, narrow waist, sculpted ABS. I swallowed hard and flipped onto my stomach, counting the cash gifts to distract myself. When Adrian approached, slipping off his jacket, I jolted and hugged my pants tightly. I told you I'm straight. The words had barely left my mouth when a sharp slap landed on my backside. Don't talk nonsense. What the hell? My face flamed. No one had ever touched me like that before, not even my father. The sting spread like fire ants across my skin, shame crashing over me. You bastard. Even my father never. Another slap. Remember this. After marriage, that foul mouth of yours has to go. My face burned hotter, torn between humiliation, anger, and something I refused to name. Don't hit me again. I told you, I'm straight. Adrian smirked. Straight? Weren't you the one who declared to the whole bar you were gay? Or was that another joke? That was, I stammered, scrambling for an excuse. That was me talking nonsense. Just like when I called you an old cripple, didn't mean it either. He chuckled darkly. Good save. Now go wash up and change. Sleeping in your wedding suit, doesn't that bother you? It was only then I realized he had meant to hand me pajamas, not whatever I had imagined. Face burning, I snatched the clothes and fled to the bathroom. The next morning, Adrian yanked me out of bed before dawn. Get up. It's time. I peeked at the window. The sky was still pitch black. My entire body screamed for sleep. It wasn't even dawn when Adrian yanked me out of bed. Don't mess with me, I grumbled. Smack. A sharp sting blossomed across my backside. His face was like thunder. Say that again, and see what happens. Clutching my aching rear, I whimpered. Please, just let me sleep a little longer. No. In this house, there are rules. Bed by 10, up at 6. My brain short-circuited the moment I heard up at 6. From then on, I was nothing but a puppet, dragged along however he pleased. At breakfast, I nearly face-planted into the congee. Adrian tilted my chin up with one broad, warm hand and sigh. Are you really that tired? I nodded frantically like a pecking chicken, praying he'd finally relent. Instead, he said, you'll get used to it. Useless man. Why even bother asking? After the meal, the butler appeared, listing the endless rules of the Cross estate. Don't curse, sit, stand, walk with proper posture. Even breathing felt regulated. By the end, my scalp tingled with numbness. I gritted my teeth, swallowing more curses in 1 week than I had in my entire 20 years of life. Every time a single syllable slipped, Adrian's hand came down on me again, sharp and merciless. What kind of man enjoys spanking this much? One night, Adrian worked late. The clock struck 10, but he still wasn't home. Alone in the room, I relaxed completely. Headphones on, pulling my friends online for a game. Damn it, are you playing with your toes? I cursed as my teammate fumbled. Every filthy word I had suppressed in the past week poured out like a flood. Then snatch, my phone was ripped out of my hands. I froze, guilt shooting through me. Adrian's face was a storm cloud. Nathan Reed, playing games at 2 in the morning, swearing like a sailor, and snacking on the bed. My teammates' voices squawked through the headset. Nathan, where are you? You AFK. Damn it, we lost. Adrian hung up the call with one flick and tossed the phone aside. His expression never wavered. Maybe it was the adrenaline from gaming, but for once, I wasn't afraid. What now? Gonna spank me again, shouldn't I? His tone was icy, like a lecture from a headmaster. You're not my father, who gave you the right to control me. I shot back, retreating instinctively, guarding my rear like it was gold. The vein in his temple twitched. I won't listen to you anymore. At worst we divorce. Before I could blink, his shadow loomed over me. He seized my wrists, pinned them behind me, and pressed me down, his other hand gripping the back of my neck. We were so close I could see every lash around his eyes. Say that again, Adrian growled, eyes darting to my lips. My spine stiffened. My stubborn streak surged at the worst possible time. Fine, I'll say it again. I didn't finish. His mouth crashed against mine, bruising, merciless, all punishment and fire. My head was locked in place, no escape, his tongue forcing its way past my teeth. Heat seared through me, panic can something I refused to name tangled in my chest. When he finally pulled back, he pressed his forehead against mine, voice hoarse. Your mouth spouts nothing but poison, easier to shut it with a kiss. I opened my mouth to retort, but he pounced again, stealing my breath, filling the room with the wet sound of a kiss that was anything but tender. Desperate, I bit down hard on his tongue, metallic tang filled my mouth. Adrian straightened, wiped the blood from his lips, while I spat and sputtered furiously. I'm straight. What the hell are you doing? I bolted into the bathroom, frantically rinsing my mouth. Adrian followed, no hesitation, smacking my backside again. His voice was low, words grated out between his teeth. Straight. Huh. Then why are you hard? I froze. My body betrayed me, leaving me speechless, horrified. Shame and confusion crashed over me like a wave. I'm going insane. I shoved him out, slammed the door, and pressed my back against it. Get out. Being kissed doesn't mean anything. I'm straight. Anyone could have kissed me and it'd be the same. Outside, the doorknob rattled. His breath hitched on the other side. Nathan, open the door. Never. You're not my father. You can't control me. Fine. Sleep in there tonight. Adrian's voice came from outside the bathroom door before his footsteps faded away. I stayed behind, rinsing my mouth again and again. I'm straight as an arrow, I told myself, even as I ended up spending the night curled up on the bathroom floor. Luckily, his bathroom was big enough. I shifted from standing to squatting, and finally too tired to care I grabbed a towel, threw it over my stomach, and fell asleep right there on the tiles. The next morning, every muscle in my body ached. Sniffling, I dragged myself out only to find Adrian had already left for work. After a quick wash, I went down for breakfast, only to discover the butler had cleared everything away. My apologies, Mr. Reed. Mealtime is over. Then forget it, I snapped. Who wants your food anyway? Slipping on my shoes, I stormed out, only to remember I didn't even have a car here. Grinding my teeth, I marched back to the garage, picked the flashiest sports car, and gunned it out onto the streets. I weaved through the city like a maniac until I reached my favorite hole-in-the-wall diner. If Adrian or his stiff-necked household knew I was eating greasy street food, they'd lose their minds. Just thinking of his smug face irritated me further. I bit savagely into a steamed bun, muttering, stupid old bastard, crippled bastard. After stuffing myself, I drove to my own apartment, a place I actually called home. Not that bastard Adrian's mansion. Empty, quiet, lifeless. I remembered my father rambling once about wanting to travel the world. I tossed the thought aside and collapsed on the sofa, catching up on sleep. When I woke, it was already pitch dark, not a single message on my phone. Strangely, that emptiness gnawed me, like I was waiting for a text from Adrian, realizing that only pissed me off more. I yanked out my game console and played till past midnight, cursing the screen as game over flashed in bold red. You're the one who's about to be over, I growled, stomping my feet to wake my legs before grabbing my jacket to head out for a midnight snack. The streets were deserted, the night wind slicing like knives. My head spun, heat rising beneath my skin, legs turning to jelly. I shrug off my coat, stumbling toward the glowing sign of a convenience store that seemed to never get closer. My body gave way, knees buckling, and strong arms caught me. I looked up through hazy vision into a familiar, handsome face, Adrian Cross. You've really outdone yourself this time, Nathan, he said, pressing a cool hand against my burning forehead. His tone was edged with anger, but his lips curved into something closer to a bitter laugh. My muddled brain couldn't keep up. Is this real? Or am I so fevered I'm seeing him everywhere? I slumped against his chest. Whatever. If you don't want to deal with me, then just leave me here. Instead, Adrian stripped off his coat, wrapped it snugly around me, and scooped me into his arms. The lingering warmth of his body seeped into me as he carried me to the car. I burrowed deeper into the fabric despite myself. Back at the villa, I staggered as he set me down. Don't order me around, I muttered weakly. He said nothing, just bent down and lifted me again, as though I weighed nothing. I flailed my arms uselessly. Don't touch me. But he deposited me straight into bed, tucking the blanket around me with infuriating patience, a cup of warm water pressed to my lips. Open your mouth. Take the medicine. I turned my head stubbornly. Adrian sighed, tilted his own head back, popped the pill into his mouth, took a gulp of water, and then before I could resist sealed his lips over mine. The bitter tablet slipped past my tongue, chased by warm liquid. I gagged, sputtering as water dribbled down my chin, only for him to lick it away without hesitation. I recoiled, face blazing. "What kind of insane way of feeding medicine is that? You wouldn't take it yourself," he said flatly. "What did you want me to do? Let you burn up with fever until your brain melted? You're the one whose brain is melted. Your whole family is insane." He only chuckled, brushed damp hair off my forehead, and whispered, "Go to sleep. When you wake up, you'll feel better." I wanted to argue, to tell him I'd make him pay for this, but exhaustion swallowed me whole. Somewhere in the haze of dreams, I felt hands adjusting my blanket, the chill of a thermometer tucked under my arm, his low voice coaxing me gently. "Almost done. Just a little longer." Only when dawn broke did I hear him finally exhale in relief. When I opened my eyes again, sunlight streamed through the curtains, my stomach growled loudly. The room was familiar, yet strange, and Adrian sat nearby. Dark circles ashed beneath his eyes. "You're awake," he said quietly. I asked the butler to make porridge. "Eat some first." My voice came out hoarse, but the sarcasm didn't fade. "What? You think this makes you some kind of saint? Breakfast at the right time or nothing at all? Dead by 10, up by 6, don't curse or you'll get spanked." The more I thought about it, the more pissed I became. I shot Adrian a glare before burrowing under the blanket like a sulking child. He tugged me back out. "You're sick. I'll make an exception this time." His hands pressed lightly to my waist. I shoved them off. "Don't touch me. Do you really hate me that much?" His voice was low, unreadable. A strange pang rippled in my chest. I looked away and muttered, "Yes." Adrian studied me for a long moment, then finally relented. "Fine, I'll keep my distance." I should have felt relieved. Instead, something lodged in my throat, impossible to swallow. I clenched my fists, frustrated beyond reason. "Whatever. I'm starving. Let's eat." After dinner, Adrian reminded me to take my fever medicine. Just remembering the way he had fed me last night made my teeth grind. This time I crushed the tablet between my teeth, swallowing the bitter dust dry. When I stretched out on the sofa, one leg flung over the armrest, Adrian's sharp gaze landed on me. I quickly retracted my foot. He said nothing, only remarked coldly, "While you're sick, you can do as you like. Think of it as a temporary pardon." And so, with my golden ticket in hand, I sprawled however I pleased, scratching where I wanted, lying however I liked until my shirt rode up, bearing my waist. Adrian narrowed his eyes. "Put your shirt down." "Yes, sir." My fever passed as quickly as it came, and with it, my pardon expired. Back to strict schedules, strict rules, strict silence. Adrian really did keep his word, though. He kept his distance, never scolded, never raised a hand to me again. Living under the same roof felt like sharing a dorm with a detached roommate. And for some reason, that infuriated me more. I knew his limits: no food on the bed. So I purposely bought the stinkiest snacks I could find, then sprawled on his bed, munching loudly. When Adrian came home, his brow furrowed instantly. I braced for a scolding. Instead, he said mildly, "Junk food isn't good for you. Eat less. If you're hungry, ask the butler to bake some oil-free biscuits. They're quite good." What the hell was I supposed to do with a man like this? I shoved another greasy handful into my mouth, smearing crumbs over his pristine sheets. "Shut up, old man. Don't lecture me." He nodded calmly. "Fine. Ask the butler to clean this up later," and walked out. I stared after him, stunned. No scolding, no spanking, not even a raised voice. The snacks turned to ash in my mouth. I hurled the rest aside and called the butler to clean up, fuming at the suffocating blandness of my life. That was when trouble walked in. A boy no older than 19, hair dyed bright green, kicked the door open. "Adrian Cross," he shouted. I jumped. That bastard. He always yells at me to line up my shoes neatly. The brat's sharp brows knit when he spotted me. "And you are your father." I shot back without missing a beat. The butler hurried in, carrying a pair of slippers. "Young Master Lamb, it's been a while. Please, put these on." Ryan Lamb pointed at me. "Who's this?" "This is Mr. Ree," the butler began. But the door swung open again. Adrian was home. Before I could react, Ryan threw himself into Adrian's arms, clinging like a child. "You promised to pick me up. Why didn't you come?" "I was busy," Adrian replied, peeling him off. I saw red. I kicked a chair, but misjudged and slammed my little toe into the table leg. Pain shot through me, tears stinging my eyes. Adrian glanced my way, silent. I glared back, flipping him the finger through the throbbing pain, before hobbling off to my room. The air inside reeked faintly of him. I threw the windows open, cranked the ventilation, and flopped on the bed with my phone. Not long after, the door opened again. "Does your foot still hurt?" "None of your business." "Let me see." He reached for my ankle, calloused fingers brushing my skin. Goosebumps prickled everywhere. I yanked back. "Don't touch me. Filthy. Did you even wash after holding that green-haired brat? His name is Ryan." "I don't care what his name is. Get out." I shoved him hard. He staggered but stayed where he was. "Why are you so irritable today? This is just who I am. If you can't stand it, go cuddle your obedient Ryan instead." He studied me for a long time, then murmured, Ryan really is more obedient than you. My vision went red. I snatched a pillow and hurled it at him. Get out. Nathan, he asked softly, what exactly are you angry about? The question froze me. Why was I angry? Because he was close with someone else. That didn't make sense. I didn't even like him. Adrian's lips curved faintly. You're jealous, aren't you? Jealous, my ass. Get out. I finally understood. It was pure possessiveness, the kind only men had. On paper, Adrian and I weren't even legally married. But we had held a wedding, gone through every ritual, exchanged vows before witnesses. And yet he kept playing hot and cold with me. Then went and acted close with someone else. Of course I was furious. Who wouldn't be? I shoved him out of my room, sulking until the butler came knocking to announce dinner. Dragging myself out of bed, I went downstairs only to see Adrian and that green-haired brat sitting practically shoulder to shoulder. My stomach turned. I spun on my heel to leave. Nathan, Adrian called after me. Aren't you eating? I ignored him. The brat's brown eyes flicked toward me, then back to Adrian. By the way, who is he? I slowed, ears straining for Adrian's answer. He drew out his words lazily. He's mine. There was a pause. Then, my friend, while lungs nearly exploded. So when your tongue's down my throat, I'm still just a friend. I stormed back to my room, grabbed my car keys, and drove off. The engine roared beneath me, tires skidding on mountain curves, adrenaline drowned out my anger. At the racing club, old faces greeted me with mocking familiarity. Well, Nathan Reed. Long time no see. Heard you got married, so what? Settled down already? Forgotten how to throw money around like confetti? Laughter rang out. My fists clenched. These were the same bastards who had once egged me on overseas, the reason I'd burned through my fortune and nearly destroyed myself. I had cut ties long ago, but fate had a sick sense of humor. I turned away, unwilling to waste words. Until one idiot slung an arm around my neck and sneered, how much did he pay you? Huh. Adrian Cross, what's your going rate? Whatever he's paying, I'll double it. My blood boiled. In a heartbeat, I slammed him to the ground, boot grinding into his chest. Watch your filthy mouth. The others stiffened, circling me. Look at him. Everyone knows Adrian Cross is a notorious playboy. He's probably tired of you already. Huh, you disgusting faggot. The last thread of restraint in my mind snapped. I grabbed the nearest one and smashed my fist into his temple. Blood spurted from his nose, then they all rushed me. Fists rained on my ribs, my back, my gout. But I refused to kneel. If they pinned my arms, I kicked. If they grabbed my legs, I headbutted. By the time the chaos cleared, we were all battered, sprawled on the ground, my forehead burned, my vision swam red. I staggered toward the one who had spat those vile words, stomping down hard on his chest. Open your eyes, look at me. Is this disgusting? Who the hell are you to judge? He coughed blood, gasping. You're finished, Nathan, I won't let you off. I sneered, try me, I'll be waiting. Someone shouted that the police had been called. I turned to leave, but Adrian arrived before they did. His presence cut through the crowd like a blade. His expression was darker, more terrifying than I had ever seen. Nathan Reed, he said, voice low with fury. Can't you stop making me worrying for one goddamn second? And just like that, my rage flared all over again. I don't need you meddling in my life. Even if I died here, it wouldn't have anything to do with you. Adrian's patience snapped. His dark eyes swept me up and down before smack. His palm landed hard on my backside. Say that again. I said what I said. Who needs your concern? I just brawled for his sake, and he repaid me with this. Like the hand that feeds you, he was nothing but a dog. The world around us fell silent, only the wind howling through the night. We glared at each other until the shriek of police sirens broke the standoff. Adrian grabbed me and hustled me down a mountain road, phone already at his ear, calmly arranging for the mess on the cliff to be covered up. I slumped in the passenger seat, the heat of my fury fading into chills. He turned the heater on. Why did you pick a fight like that? His voice was level, like stone. It made me want to scream. Adrian suddenly laughed, low and humorless. Brilliant. First you run away and nearly burn yourself to death with a fever. Now you fight 5 men alone and get yourself beaten bloody. What's next, Nathan? How far do you plan to go? In the rearview mirror, my reflection looked back at me, face smeared, clothes torn, nothing like a refined air. Just a wreck of a man, barely holding together. Stop the car. I want out. Where would you go? Anywhere. You don't own me. Stop, or I'll jump. When he didn't answer, I swung the door open, hauled myself out the window, and leapt. The impact rattled my bones, but I staggered to my feet, clutching my arm. Behind me, tires screeched. Adrian had slammed the brakes, nearly crashing into a wall. His roar tore through the night. Nathan. Before I could escape, he stormed over, threw me over his shoulder like a sack of grain, and crack. His hand came down on my ass. This time there was no teasing in it, no restraint. The sound echoed between the buildings. You're insane, I shouted, writhing. Yes, he growled. I've lost my mind. Who told me to fall for a bastard like you? Another slap, his palm seared both sides of me raw. You curse me, you fight me, you run from me and still you owe me 10 more smacks on top of this. Fury boiled in my chest. I bit his shoulder, hard enough to draw a hiss from his throat. He didn't relent. Instead, his teeth sank into my thigh, sharp enough to make me scream. The pain blurred into something else, heat flooding my face. My body shook with anger and humiliation as he carried me like nothing. You maniac, just kill me already. Adrian's chest heaved under me, breath ragged. He slammed me against a wall, one hand pinning me, the other yanking my pants halfway down. Cold air licked my bare skin before another heavy strike landed, leaving me gasping. Say it again. My mind exploded in static, my mouth clamped shut. Only when I fell silent did he tug my pants back up, stuff me into the passenger seat, and all but strap me down with the seatbelt. He drove us straight to the hospital. The doctor clicked his tongue as he treated me, bandaging bruises and cuts. When he saw the bite on my thigh, he paused. This looks like a human bite. Lucky it didn't break the skin. If it had, you'd need a shot. I glared at Adrian. He raised a brow in feigned innocence, phone still pressed to his ear. The doctor prescribed ointments and left us. Adrian collected the medicine quietly, the fire between us banked to glowing coals. Back in the car, his sigh filled the silence. Let me guess, you fought them because of what they said. Was it the word disgusting, or was it because they said you were disgusting? I stiffened. Don't flatter yourself. I just couldn't stand their faces. He cut me off sharply. Stop lying. His gaze bore into me, eyes unreadable. Or was it because you started to realize you're already one of us? My fists clenched. Adrian's hand brushed mine, gentle for once. Relax, if you tear your stitches now, it'll hurt worse later. I opened my mouth to retort, but no words came. Then, without warning, he leaned in and pressed a fleeting kiss against my lips. Revulsion and heat tangled inside me. My face burned. Adrian smirked, judging by that reaction. Not so disgusting after all. I swallowed hard, unable to answer. He handed me a bottle of water. Face it, Nathan. Accepting who you are isn't as hard as you think. I lowered my head, refusing to give him even a glance. Adrian didn't press me, simply giving me the space to stew in silence. By the time we got home, Ryan Lamb was sprawled shirtless across the sofa, fiddling with his phone. Oh, you're back, he said casually. I shot Adrian a sharp look. He smacked his own forehead. Damn, I forgot to deal with this. Later, in the bedroom, he knelt at my side, lifting my leg gently. His warm palm worked ointment into the bruises, easing the pain as he spoke. Ryan is my cousin's son. After his father passed away, he came to stay with me. He's young, impressionable, picked up all the wrong habits outside. The most annoying thing is, he happens to share the same position as me. I let myself relax against the cushions, eyelids drooping. His words lulled me, though I cracked one eye open at the end. So he's your nephew? Huh. If word got out, all those girls crying over you would faint. Adrian froze for half a beat, then chuckled. He really does fool people, doesn't he? That innocent look, he leaned in close, lips curving. Almost makes you forget he's bigger than you. Even half asleep, I bristled. Bigger? You've got to be kidding. I'm plenty big myself, really. Let me check. No way. Go to hell. I'm going to sleep. He tucked me under the blanket. Just as I drifted off, I snapped awake again. Wait, how do you know he's bigger? You've seen him. Are you two even proper with each other? If you cheat, Adrian, I swear I'll bite you to pieces. He laughed softly, so fierce. Fine, then I'll wait for you to come bite me. I suspected he was teasing me on purpose, but I was too tired to argue. Sleep 1. I slept till noon the next day, ignoring Adrian's attempts to wake me. Why is it that green-haired brat doesn't have to follow the rules, but I do? What rules am I forcing on you besides banning foul language? He asked. I opened my mouth then stopped. Come to think of it, he'd said I had to wake at 6, but he'd never forced me. I hadn't starved either, sneaking snacks whenever I wanted. So if it's not mealtime, you mean I'm not allowed to eat? Adrian sighed. Nathan, don't play the victim. You snack behind my back all the time. Did you think I didn't notice? Then I'd go hungry without you letting me eat, wouldn't I? The argument escalated, bouncing back and forth until at last he gave in. Fine. Fine. You win. From now on, in the Cross household, you can do whatever you want. Sleep when you want, play games when you want, eat snacks in bed, and call the staff to clean up afterward. Satisfy. I smirked. In that case, I also want to do that whenever I feel like it. His lips quirked. That's the only thing you'll have to wait for nighttime to do, sweetheart. Adrian's paw. At first, I only went to that bar to unwind. Then I overheard a stranger on the phone, being pressured into marriage just like me. Intrigued, I listened. When he stood, my eyes followed and landed squarely on the curve of his ass. The thought flashed unbidden. What would it feel like to smack it? I startled myself with the idea. then accepted it easily. Perfectly natural, see a nice ass, want to spank it. Then I heard my own name from his lips. That crippled old bastard, Adrian Cross. How amusing. Later, Grandma tossed me a pile of photos, urging me to pick a spouse. I flipped through absently until one picture stopped me, him. Sharp eyes, cold as a snow leopard's, even if the rest of his face was too round. Too young, this one, I said. Grandma squinted. Who's this? Why is his picture here? Her memory had long since gone patchy. Doesn't matter. You like him? Marry him, she muttered. And so I dug deeper. The things he'd done overseas, reckless, foolish, yet stubbornly resilient, piqued my interest. At his father's birthday banquet, the man himself spilled everything. Terminal illness, little time left, desperate to see his only son settled. To speed things along, he'd slipped Nathan's photo into Grandma's stack. By sheer chance, it worked. The old man's plea was sincere, long-winded, but sincere. I humored him, spinning a quick excuse, and lured Nathan into the trap. That infamous credit card fiasco overseas, of course I knew. Cute brat, just needed a firmer hand. And so I set my rules: bedtimes, wake-up calls, no foul language, and indulged a few of my darker thoughts along the way. His warmth, his softness, the sound of his curses muffled against my palm. Addictive. As for my late night overtime, that was for his father. I gathered the best doctors in the country. After a thorough examination, it turned out the old man wasn't dying at all, just a misdiagnosis. But by then, Nathan was already mine. It was too late to take him back now. Nathan was mine. From the beginning, I sought every chance to test him. That kiss I stole, of course, it was intentional. I wanted to see his reaction. What I didn't expect was for him to bolt, stubborn as hell, and even lock himself in the bathroom overnight. By the time I found him again, he was burning with fever, 2 days to even care for himself. Honestly, the man needed a leash tied around his waist so he wouldn't wander off and self-destruct. That night, I kissed him again, just to prove a point. For all his sharp tongue and defiance, the moment my lips touched his, he melted. Notes on raising a kitten. Patience. Always give him time. Never force him when he doesn't want it. But after I pulled back and gave him space, Nathan didn't seem any happier. Then Ryan showed up. Watching Nathan's eyes burn red with jealousy gave me an idea. Maybe he was bent, after all, he just hadn't realized it yet. They say love makes men childish. I'd always scoffed at that, until Nathan. 30-something years old. Yet all I wanted was to see the one I liked glare at me with red-rimmed eyes. That little wildcat, puffed up and furious, was so unbearably cute I nearly fainted from the sweetness of it. And then he went racing, picking fights, throwing himself headfirst into trouble. I was furious, and guilty. Maybe I had pushed him too hard. I regretted it. Tests, little games, provocations, they weren't worth it. When it came to Nathan Reed, I only needed to play one way, straightforward. Because no matter what, I'd already fallen too deep.